All right, guys, welcome to part 2 of our DreamWorks tier list. If you haven't seen the first part, you can click here to get to it, but it won't be necessary to enjoy this video. Anyways, let's start off strong. Let me tell you about my favorite, The Prince of Egypt. It sucked you right into the plight of the Jews during their captivity in Egypt. The visuals were so damn vibrant and mesmerizing, easy S-tier movie.
You're right, Joe. It's no wonder the Christians and Muslims decided to make their own fan fictions of this enormously moving tale. The tale of Moses and his journey had an intensity that resonated deep within. And I'm glad to see that all those brainlets on TikTok have finally realized that it is a great movie.
You both have great points. This movie is so moving spiritually and physically. If we showed Kanye this movie, he would certainly change his feelings on our Jewish friends.
You said that after we watched Schindler's List with him, and the only thing that happened after that viewing was Donald and Joe crying on each other like a gay couple who got their pride flag stolen off their front porch. But they really did a great job. The voice acting and singing was my personal favorite. You could feel the passion and dedication in every line.
And let's not forget the deep themes it explored, man. It delved into identity, faith, and the struggle to find one's place in the world. It was a profound spiritual journey that left you questioning your own beliefs.
Indeed, it was a masterpiece that transcended the boundaries of animation. The Prince of Egypt set the bar high for storytelling and artistic expression, and it's a shame that their next film, Ants, lost any of the magic this movie had.
Well, then let's talk about Ants. The animation was a bit clunky, which is understandable with it being DreamWorks' first animated film, but it was kind of charming.
Ants had its moments. The story of a little ant trying to find his place in the colony was relatable, but the execution fell short.
While Ants had some funny moments, but it didn't quite hit the mark. The storyline had potential, but it felt a bit scattered, like it couldn't decide whether it was a comedy or a profound reflection on society.
The concept was intriguing, no doubt. Exploring the world of ants and their complex social structure was fascinating. But the animation felt a bit outdated even when it was released, and the pacing could have used some tightening.
Yeah, man, it was a missed opportunity. The potential was there, but it was like they were afraid to take risks and push the boundaries.
Exactly, Ants lacked that special spark. Its twin, A Bug's Life, was a lot better, and that movie was not something you'd remember for years to come.
Agreed. Ants was an enjoyable watch, but it didn't leave a lasting impact. It's a solid C-tier movie, nothing more, nothing less. Just don't expect it to blow your mind or redefine the genre.
Yeah, C-tier sounds good.
Agreed.
Okay, then, now we got The Road to El Dorado. This movie was a fantastic return to form. The animation was top-notch, and the story had me hooked from the start. I mean, who wouldn't want to find the legendary city of gold?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Joe. You have to find what remains of our economy before you can search for El Dorado. But agreed, The Road to El Dorado was a true adventure. The characters were vibrant, and the humor was on point. It captured the spirit of exploration and had that Hemingway touch of daring. And you can't forget about Chell.
Fully agree, Donnie. I wish Michelle was more like Chell.
Well, yeah, we know Michelle is packing heat under her dress.
Yeah, something like that. Back on topic, this movie was a great celebration of friendship and courage. The bond between the two main characters was heartwarming, and the message of following your dreams resonated deeply.
It had that sense of wonder and discovery that I love in a good adventure, and that's really what made this film work. The danger and the reward, classic carrot and the stick.
Yeah, I get that. And the fact that most of the characters were written like actual adults. I mean, look at this movie and compare it to The Boss Baby. All the characters had good motivations for what they wanted. And witty banter between the main characters. That alone was priceless.
Absolutely. The Road to El Dorado had that rare combination of entertainment and artistry. It wasn't afraid to take risks and embrace its own uniqueness. A true gem and easy S-tier.
Now we got our first claymation movie, Chicken Run. This movie had some serious mojo, man. The animation was smooth as silk, and the story had me clucking with excitement.
You make a fucking pun like that again and I'll bake you into a pie, but Joe's right. Chicken Run was a triumph of storytelling, boys.
This movie was a piece of art about fighting for freedom and never giving up. You can tell the creators put a lot of passion into this movie.
Chicken Run was a great movie, I would say S-tier, but I feel that this movie isn't as good as Wallace and Gromit. A-tier?
Absolutely. Chicken Run was great, really had me glued to the screen.
Joe, we could put you in front of a wall and you would be entertained. But agreed, the movie had heart, humor, and a spirit that's hard to resist.
All right, then let's talk about Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Now, this movie sails about as well as the HMS Titanic. Easy C tier for me. The animation was decent, but the storytelling lacked the swashbuckling excitement I was hoping for. I mean, a pirate movie has to be entertaining.
Just remove sin from the title and you have what this movie is: bad. The characters were shallow and the plot continually got worse, like it was going down the drain. Not a great adventure, if you ask me.
Now, Donald's Sinbad had its moments, but I agree the animation was visually appealing and it had its fair share of action, but the story lacked depth.
Ironic for a movie on the high seas that its setting is deep as the ocean, but its plot is as deep as a puddle.
Well put, George. We can agree that Sinbad had its moments, but it's a C tier movie. So let's start a long descent to the bottom. Let's talk about Shark Tale. The story is shallow, and like Bush said, it's like a puddle you find on the sidewalk after a drizzle. Ironic for a movie about the ocean and the characters. Don't get me started. They were as one-dimensional as a cardboard cutout.
Look, Shark Tale was a disaster, and that it would have been one even without the Will Smith's involvement. I mean, a fish mafia? How can the studio that made Shrek decide to make The Godfather underwater? And don't even get me started on the attempts at humor. Overall, it was a disappointment, a real letdown.
I agree, Shark Tale missed the mark on many levels. We deserve better.
The movie had potential, but if you pardon the pun, it jumped the shark. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, it's like they threw a bunch of ideas into the ocean and hoped for the best, but it just ended up a mess. I was expecting something more, profound, but instead it was all surface level nonsense.
Absolutely, Biden. It's a shame they didn't dive deeper into the story and develop the characters. It could have been a real catch, but it ended up being a real flop.
All right, now we got Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. This film is a masterpiece, a real mind-blower. The storytelling is tight, like a well-knit sweater.
Agreed, it's a true gem. The characters are vibrant and full of life, especially Gromit, who speaks volumes without saying a word. And the animation? It's like watching a painting in motion. It's a testament to the power of the craft.
Agreed, the characters are endearing, and Gromit's silent expressions are worth 1,000 words.
Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, is a true triumph in the world of animation, and the bond between Wallace and Gromit is something to be cherished.
Absolutely, guys. Wallace and Gromit is a real cinematic masterpiece. It's witty, charming, and filled with heart. Now that I think of it, I could really go for some cheese right about now. Cheese.
We need more films like Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, that entertain, inspire, and touch our hearts. It's a true masterpiece that showcases the power of animation as a storytelling medium.
Well said, Obama. Wallace and Gromit deserves its place in the S tier. It's a film that continues to bring joy to people of all generations, and its impact on the animation industry cannot be understated.
All right, folks, let's dig into Over the Hedge. The storytelling is fast-paced and witty with enough pop culture references to make your head spin.
Over the Hedge's storytelling is sharp and engaging, with a perfect balance of humor and heart. The characters are relatable and memorable, especially the Bruce Willis raccoon.
The storytelling is both entertaining and thought-provoking, exploring themes of community, friendship, and the impact of human encroachment on nature.
It's all right, but I wouldn't call it a delightful movie. But it does a nice blend of realism and whimsy, creating a world that feels both familiar and magical, which is what makes a great kids movie. I would give this a max A tier.
All right, we got Flushed Away. The storytelling is wacky and unpredictable, with talking rodents and a whole underground world and even a gay French frog in the London sewers.
Flushed Away is an entertaining flick, but not rememberable. The animation was okay and really brought this underground world to life with vibrant colors and attention to detail. B tier.
I disagree. Donnie, Flushed Away is a film that blends comedy and adventure flawlessly. The storytelling is lighthearted and enjoyable, with likable characters and clever dialogue.
Flushed Away is a fun ride, but agreed with Donald, this movie is B tier.
All right, since we are talking about bees, let's talk about the bee movie.
You really just had to make that pun, didn't you?
Yeah, anyways, this movie was like a bad episode of Seinfeld, too many thoughts shoved together to make a Frankenstein of a movie.
The Bee Movie is an interesting film. It tackles some thought-provoking themes like the importance of individuality and the consequences of environmental issues. But then, they have ridiculous things like a white woman falling in love with a bee and bees landing an airplane.
Well, I mean, we know that bestiality isn't the strangest thing for a woman in NYC to be up to.
Indeed, the B movie may not be the bee's knees, but it's got a certain appeal. It's definitely a last vestige of the 90s humor and the early 2000s that signaled the end of that era. But it's really loved by the Zoomers.
That's right, Biden. The B movie may have sparked some memes, but it's more than just that. It's an enjoyable watch with some clever jokes.
Okay, pardon the pun, but we should put this in B tier too.
It's not a bad idea. It has had some lasting cultural effects on memes, but the environmental part of it flopped harder than Jerry Seinfeld's career post-Seinfeld.
All right, then let's talk about Monsters vs. Aliens. It's a wild ride with some monster-sized fun, but let's be honest, it's not exactly groundbreaking.
Monsters vs. Aliens is a mixed bag. It's got its moments of excitement and the animation is visually pleasing. However, I don't think anyone can actually name a single character from this movie. Interesting idea, terrible execution.
Agreed, not much to disagree on. Let's put it into C tier.
Yeah, I would say it's not a horrible movie, but it's not going to rock your world.
Well, then let's talk about a movie that really has style. Megamind. The storytelling is clever, taking the superhero genre and turning it upside down. It was a breath of fresh air in the animation world after the 2008 housing crisis.
Megamind is a film that breaks the mold. It's not your typical superhero flick, and that's what makes it so intriguing. The animation is top-notch and the characters have depth. It's a refreshing take on the genre.
Megamind is a movie that challenges the norms. It explores the idea of what it means to be a hero and a villain, and it does so with heart and humor.
And that's what made it so great, was its willingness to take risks. I mean, it's great that they included that guy from Back at the Barnyard in this movie. Really makes a nice cinematic universe within itself.
Absolutely, Trump. Bush. Megamind is a film that takes risks and delivers on them. The storyline keeps you engaged, and the characters have layers of complexity. It's a movie that appeals to both kids and adults alike.
You hit the nail on the head, but it also seems like you might have hit yourself in the head. Megamind is an A-tier film that pushes boundaries and explores the gray areas of heroism and villainy.
Let's not forget the themes of redemption and self-discovery in Megamind. Teaches us that we are not defined by our past and that we have the power to change. Great message, easy A tier.
Megamind is a film that reminds us of the power of second chances, folks. Just like Dick Cheney got after nearly killing a man in a hunting accident.
We all know that wasn't no accident and that Dick Cheney is a public servant who is to be feared, but agreed A tier. All right, now it's Rise of the Guardians. The storytelling is captivating, blending mythology and imagination. It's a visual feast that leaves a lasting impression, my friends.
Rise of the Guardians is a film that captures the essence of childhood wonder. Really wish there were more films like this, but I'm glad they didn't make it a series.
Agreed, a series would have ruined it. Easy A tier one-off movie, though, was interesting idea.
Agreed.
Okay, we have Turbo, a very disappointing film. They really had no idea what they were doing with this one.
Yeah, this is the one with the snail, right? It had a really bad twist villain at the end for no reason, and the whole plot was really not well strung together.
Yeah, easy D tier.
Agreed.
Okay, now we have a reboot. Now, usually reboots are pretty bad, but Peabody and Sherman. I have to admit, this movie had its quirks, but it managed to charm me. The storytelling had a time-traveling twist that kept me engaged, and the animation had a nostalgic feel that took me back to my own adventures back in the summer of '59.
Peabody and Sherman was a movie that pleasantly surprised me. The storytelling had a clever blend of history and humor, and the animation was visually appealing. It's a film that entertained without trying too hard. Easy B tier.
Yeah, Peabody and Sherman should have been a regular old reboot that everyone either forgot or is remembered better than the original. But it seems in this one that they managed to actually pull off a nice reboot that introduced it to a new generation.
Peabody and Sherman struck a chord with me, folks. The storytelling had a good balance of humor and life lessons, and the animation was colorful and immersive. It's a film that offers something for both kids and adults.
Agreed, Bush. B tier it is. Okay, now we have Home. And no, it's not the retirement home Donald. That being said, the only things I remember from this movie are the purple alien, Queen Latifah, and the Bee Gees. It had its moments, I'll give it that. But the storytelling, my friends, had left something to be desired. It felt a bit too predictable, lacking that element of surprise. Overall, it's a decent C-tier movie, nothing extraordinary, but not a complete disaster either.
It had its ups and downs. The animation was fine, nothing to write home about, but it did the job. The storyline, though, lacked that spark, that excitement that keeps you on the edge of your seat. I wanted more depth, more substance. The characters felt a bit shallow, not fully developed. It's a C-tier movie, nothing remarkable, but it'll entertain you for a while.
It had a positive message about acceptance and friendship. The animation was colorful and visually pleasing. However, the execution fell short. The pacing was off, and the plot felt disjointed at times. It could have delved deeper into the themes it touched upon. It's a C-tier movie with potential, but it didn't quite reach the heights it could have.
It played it safe, sticking to the familiar tropes. I wanted more creativity, more originality. The characters, while charming, didn't leave a lasting impression. Agreed that it's a C-tier movie, enjoyable in the moment, but forgettable in the long run.
Okay, now we have Captain Underpants, which was a great adaptation, but really isn't a creative movie made by DreamWorks. Works well for being an adaptation, and probably was enjoyed by its fans, but otherwise not the greatest.
Captain Underpants, a delightful tale indeed. The animation was crisp and lively, bringing the characters to life. The storytelling had a lighthearted charm, embracing the humor and absurdity. It didn't take itself too seriously, and that's what made it enjoy.
Guys, hello?
It looks like their internet died out, Barack. Well, at least we have like 2 films left. I'm putting Captain Underpants in B tier.
Fine, now we have Abominable. This movie was the one with Danny DeVito in it, right?
I honestly don't know. I haven't even seen half the movies on this list. Donald told me we were doing a tier list on Kubrick movies.
Well, then I'll put this in D tier. Sorry, but I haven't seen this one either, so it might be good.
That leaves The Bad Guys. Now, this one we did see, but it honestly wasn't that great. I really don't like that whole CalArts style of movie making. I would put this in C tier.
Well, I liked it. I tell you what, I'll put it in B tier. Okay, that's it. Want to play something?
Sure.
Stupid fucking Verizon internet. McDonald's has better internet service. Oh well, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and have a blessed day.